Whoa. Holy smokes. Really pretty nice there. Oh, we have spark. Could you imagine trying to put fuel? Oh, here it comes. Oh my goodness. And there's the, yeah. I mean, I am just at a loss for words on this one. All right, so we got another nice day. Things starting to melt off a little bit. And before I got to work back on the two quads today, I wanted to pop them open and at least do a first pass pressure wash on here to kind of get some of the grime away and kind of really see what we're working with. So now that we've popped these up, I can see a few more things here. So this is the dark blue one, and this is the one where we've established the frame is in good condition. And you'll see here just the A-arm construction here, you know, not solid down through this end. And I'll show you on the other one here, it's a different A-arm construction. But overall, this frame, pretty good. We've got a little bit of a pop here in the front bumper, but going down through here, looking good on the frame. Just starting to open up down here, and we can fix that with the welder. There was a skid plate we took off, and you see I've pressure washed the bottom of the motor. And this one was reasonably clean underneath. No stator was on this one. And notice here the boot, we're gonna have to get a new boot, and we're gonna have to get a new back plate as well once we get first start going. This is again for the air intake for cooling the belt. Comes through the frame down here, spits out this way, but this would let water and junk in, so that's got to be dealt with. But as I continue to look around here, we've got a chain slider, and overall just really not too bad. This one we're really getting to in time to salvage. And this gasket all kind of torn up through here. Not going to seal anything out, so that's going to have to be worked on. If I come over to the other one, this is the light blue one that we were cracking into. And we're going to be looking to replace the stator today. This stator is starter is seized up inside. So let's get a starter that spins. And you'll notice here, this frame, and again, we can clean this up, we can weld this, you know, so this frame isn't gone, it just needs some work. A lot of caked oil on here, really caked on. This is after a pressure wash without any cleaning agent, just water, but needs some reinforcement. But here's the difference in the suspension here. So the other one you saw was just, you know, mounted here and here, not a long bolt and not a long through bolt. So different setup on this one. And again, all tweaked out. This front end is all bent off to the left, but this bumper doesn't have any of those splits on it. We can combine there. Lot of work to do. This one I've already taken off the back plate, which allowed me to wash behind, but still really caked up. But starting to be able to see what the oil pump looks like there as I get pieces of junk off. So I'm going to put a little bit of detergent in the pressure washer, kind of keep trying to cut through the grease, because really we're going to get down to get these things running, and it's just nicer to be able to work on this without all your tools getting messy, your hands getting messy. Everything just gets messy when you're working on a messy system. So if I'm working on it, I like it as clean as I can. So let me get some grease cutter in, lather these things up again, get another run, then we're going to get them dried off and get them back over to the shed so we can keep working on it. see. That should be right. And put that with the Bendix gear. We should be able to. Let's see. And it's got the nuts on top there, so let's see if we can bolt that in. And I'll dig out the battery and let's see if we can spin. And I'm looking for screw holes. Well, I don't have screw holes on this side yet. Oh, let's see. Okay, I got one screw hole, the other one just about. So, I think, and I'll have to twist the bottom a hair, but I think we got the right one. So, I need those 2 screws that I had taken out, which are in the tumbler, and I think we'll have to put the Bendix in with this to come in and feed. I don't think I can get the Bendix past it, so it might have to be one move, unless... Nope. Yep, Bendix has got to go in with the starter. All right, so let me dig out those screws while we do that. While Josh is working on getting the Bendix and starter installed over there, I'm gonna start pulling things out of the tumbler. These were in here for about 20 hours. So here's the basket, pull start basket. This was the extra carb top that we found in the back. Clean that up, really pretty nice there. And ultimately, I'm going through here to find the screws to hold that starter in, but just a lot of nice cleaned up things. So I'm going to go ahead, pull all these out, get them in the box here. Probably have to run thread cleaner over some of them, but overall, this stuff is not looking too bad. Okay. So we're getting ready to put this starter in here, and I've noticed something. Somebody's already been in here, and they've swapped out this whole mounting plate, which sets up behind this behind the back of the clutch plastic here. And the only way to pull the starter out is to take this plastic off and then mount this plate, let's see, yeah, like so, down in there. I've seen other guys do this where they get rid of the entire plate, or they cut it down just so they mount it on the one lobe here, because you've got 2 screws holding the starter on this side and then the one. I'm going to follow suit. I'm not going to put this whole plate back in. Just going to get 1 screw in to hold it on this side. We still need to pull this off and replace it, but this would greatly simplify in the future. If I had to do any starter work, I would not have to take the clutch off to do so. I'd take the stator cover off, and then I'd flip it up like I've got it here, and 1 screw. So I'm going to go with this idea for now anyway. All right, so the starter is in for testing. We're going to put the battery in. There's our spare battery. This battery had the wire coming off the negative and was actually ground out to a bar right up here on the chassis. Now, as we pull this plastic cover off, on the other unit, it goes from the battery negative and grounds out on this bolt down here on the motor. So I'm going to go salvage that from the other one because it is in fully intact condition, where this one is going to need a little bit of a... It's starting to come apart a little bit, so we'll use the good one for our tests here. There we go. So as I'm looking here, I'm realizing the battery setups on both these ATVs were reverse. So on the other ATV, we had the ground line running down to the motor down there, not to the transmission, because the transmission is entirely separate and sitting on the various rubber grommets. I'm not actually sure if the transmission, not actually sure if that grounds to the frame or not. At any rate, the starter is attached to the motor, so they're grounded out, attached to the motor. And on the other unit, the battery was reversed, so you could run negative back to the positive here. In this case, it's wired the other way. You go positive, and it had the other going from the negative up to the bar on the frame here. So for testing, we're going to mirror that. We're going to go negative and then to the frame up top here and positive in, and then we'll give some thought to how we actually want to route this depending on what that gives us. Let's see. Okay, so now we have key on, switch on. We don't have any indicator lights. Just for sanity, I'm probably going to pop that open next so I don't lose track of everything. On the charger, 12 amps. We have grounded out just for now to the frame, which again is how the other one was set up. And we get crank. We have crank. Do we have spark? Oh, we have spark. Oh, one more time. We have strong spark. Yep. Okay, so let's see.
Solid.
This is the... We believed that this was the motor we weren't going to use because it was left open with the stator. But we can take the cap off the other one, cover all that up. So we're now in a position where we can check for compression. So we're going to reset up here. And let's open up the housing on the headlight. So we can get an LED in there and get a little indicator of on-off. I'm assuming that's neutral. Well, you know, maybe we're not even in neutral. No, in theory we're in neutral. All right, we'll leave that for the moment. Well, if we open it up, we can put a probe on there. We'll ohm it out, and then we'll know if we have a bad bulb or we have something going on with the transmission. But recognizing that, let me get a little oil down in that cylinder, and we're going to compression test. And I know that putting oil down the cylinder is going to goof with the compression test a little bit because it's going to mask if I have an issue with the rings. But again, this motor's been sitting so long that really I want to make sure I'm not scoring the cylinder, anything of that nature, while we're testing here. And of course, testing with the two-stroke, when we do the compression test, we want to hold the thumb throttle wide open to get an effective test. Otherwise, if the thumb throttle is closed, you may not get the vacuum, you may not pull the air in there enough and give yourself a false reading. So here we go. All right, so looking up underneath here, here's the plug. This we got a brown blue goes up under the neutral indicator light. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to probe this with the ohm meter. When we're on and we're in neutral, we should get 12 volts across this from the outside of this housing to that center button in there, and then we'll know the wiring is good. We're probably just dealing with a bad bulb, and this should just pull right on down so we can get that bulb out. Just gonna fight us a little bit, but let me get the ohm meter. One of the things we learn is filming can take 3 times longer because you film something and then you realize you didn't actually film, so we'll do it again here. It'd be 3 times faster if I wasn't doing this. But so we're going to set the ohm meter 200 volts DC for my sanity check here. Make sure everything's reading and working. Positive to negative. I'm getting 12.2 volts. You know, battery's a little low, but shows me we're working. So I'll set my meter down here where you can see it. Here we have the neutral indicator light coming off the brown, light blue, and I'm going to get my probe, and it doesn't matter if it's red or black, just don't cross them in there. 1 probe on the outside casing and 1 probe down to the button in the center, and I'm looking for 12 volts, and I don't have 12 volts there. Now, one thing we don't know is we don't know if we're actually sending 12 volts right now because I don't actually know. I got to do more probing on the transmission. My thought is this down here is going to be my signaling for neutral, and I'm not positive. I'll have to go back to the manual, but we're going to pause troubleshooting this right now. We're going to get back to testing for compression. So I'm just putting, this is probably 5W30, and I'm just going to put a couple of shots down here right into the top of the cylinder. And really that's 2 that went in there because the first 2 squirts I missed. And so now, as we turn the motor, we'll get oil around the rings there. It's going to throw off my compression a bit, but I'm not going to score anything. So let's get the compression tester in here. That looks right. All right, everything's clear of anything that's going to crank and hit, which again, simple motor, so this side's going to spin, this side's going to spin, fingers are clear. And let us see, key on. All right, so just under 100, sitting down 85. Low. It's definitely under 100. It's going to be tough to start. Let's go again. And remember as well, I've got oil in there, so this may be, this top end, maybe rings, maybe more. We're getting to just 100. So not great, but we're going to move forward and see if we can push this thing to a first start. I want to see some other things. I want to see the oil injection pump work. And we'll keep going from there. We do still have another motor. And yeah, I become curious now, recognizing where the compression is, if it makes sense to stop and put this starter on the other motor, test for compression there.
I think that makes more sense to, instead of tearing into this more, let's see if we have a known good compression motor or engine. And then if that one works, then we can always...
Then we know.
Then we can always move that motor to this frame.
All right, let's bring that motor over here, bring that carcass over here, and we'll do the same. Now, just got to thinking, I don't actually know what the manufacturer's compression PSI is on this. So Josh is checking the manual. So we make sure we know what actual compression we're looking for here. I actually don't know if 100 is on spec or low. It just feels low from blasters, another thing I've worked on, but we're gonna check the manual. While he's doing that, I'm working to get this petcock opened up. It's very difficult to find a petcock that exits to the left. So many ATVs, when you think of the blasters and just on down the line, the petcock is on the other side of the gas tank. And so when you go and you buy aftermarket, everything is reverse. You're used to seeing petcocks on the left side tank, drop down, exit out this way, back towards the bike. But I could not find a petcock to match the design on here, which is to say fuel delivery on that opposite side. So we do have a rebuild kit, and I'm hoping with a rebuild kit and gaskets, I can actually reuse this petcock just with new gaskets from an aftermarket. So that's what I'm inspecting right now. So here's an example. Here's an aftermarket, and it's marketed as for this unit. And you notice the copper nipple here is going in the wrong direction. So we're either going to end up having to run this because I can't rebuild and run longer fuel line, or this is going to work out. So I'm going to take this apart now.
85 through 89.
85 through 80, yeah.
Oh, 800 RPM.
Yeah, two-stroke compression. There it is down there, 115 PSI minimum. Okay, so we're at 100 at best, so we're below the minimum. All right, let's see what the compression is on the other motor there. Oh, wow. Well, glad we didn't try to run this on that fuel. Could you imagine trying to put fuel? Oh, here, oh my goodness. So what I was worried about in there is there's fuel filters built on, and there's no filter on here on either regular or reserve, and holy. All right, we're gonna clean this up a bit. We're gonna throw this in the ultrasonic, and with any luck we can use parts out of here. For example, there's new filters in here. A new O-ring, if that O-ring will work. It looks a little different. Either way, we're going to rebuild or we're going to abandon one of the two. Yep. That's nasty. So almost had a moment there where I realized I did a compression test and I didn't hold the thumb throttle open, and then remembered there's no carburetor on here, so there's no slide to open. So I was like, oh, we got to do the compression test again. We'll get a false reading, but we're wide open down here, so it's not as though that slide was going to be closed and prevent any air from getting pulled in to be compressed there. So I do believe that 100 PSI is accurate. Manual calls for 115 minimum, so this is low. So we're going to cheat a little bit on this guy. We're gonna hook the compression tester up, but we're going to throw a drill on the side of the motor and just spin it that way to get a reading, as opposed to disassembling and pulling the starter out here. And if that baseline on the other one is reasonable, we'll call ourselves within a margin of error. We'll make a new plan. Yeah, let's try and do this without breaking a wrist. Oh, come on. That's 9/16. I don't have a 5/8. Stacking adapters as I get down to the soup. Let's hold the throttle open on this because there is a carburetor on here. Okay. All right, so throttle's open. Let's see if we spin. Oh. Well, first off, my drill might be not enough for this guy. Or my battery. Yeah, no bad. All right, ready? Let's see if I cannot break a wrist. Oh. Well, it was a good idea. Let's do some air impact. This one doesn't have the same clutch. This really could wake me up. Oh, and I'm just gonna, probably just gonna unscrew. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Ah, my ideas are getting foiled. All right, so that didn't work. You can't use the impact because to spin the motor forward, you're reversing the threads to pull it out. So I just take the screw out, and the little Ryobi drill doesn't have enough, so it turned the motor over once and hit 50 PSI. So we're going to reset here. We're going to get the starter off the other quad, put it onto here, and we're going to compression check this motor. So we have some choices. Oh, I shouldn't be winded, but pushing these things in the mud, a little sluggish. All right, so we just moved this one off, 100 PSI motor, the motor that was sitting open. We now have to get the blown starter off from that red cap there that is just hard as a rock. And then we'll test this one. While Josh is working on that, I am getting the carb set up. From the manual, this calls for a size 50 pilot jet and a 155. Yes, 155 main jet. What was in here was a 155 main and a 30 pilot. So really small on the pilot. The kit that we got came with a 145 main and a 40 pilot. So again, a universal kit means it fits nothing. We're reusing the main jet, so we have the correct main 155, but we are going to attempt our first start off of the size 40 pilot. So all of that means that our air fuel mixture screw, this guy, which the manual says to have it set out one turn, we're probably going to have to go out more than that because we're going to have to allow more metering through to balance this out. So this may actually work out. If not, we're going to get the size 50 pilot on order. I'm going to get this set up so we're ready to get it into whichever one seems to be working for us. All right, I have also just pulled the other carburetor off here. Here's the plunger for the choke, all still intact. Here's the slide. And I'm going to crack into the second carburetor, see what this one looks like as well. Also stamped Japan, also looks to be an OEM, which is exciting. Let's crack this guy open, see what the innards look of this one as well. Always curious when I break into a carb because you just never know. Well, that breather was definitely, there's no flex left in it. And the fuel hose also just tore in my hands. We have more. All right, that last carb was ugly. Here goes another one. Oh, oh boy. Check this one out. Ready? This one's gonna be something wild. Oh, it looks like a cocaine run. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I have never seen a carb like this before. This is why we were always smelling turpentine. Move this one around, and I was wondering because I'm like, I smell turpentine, but the gas tank lid is closed. That's why. Wow. Holy smokes. Wow. Yeah, if you wanted to know why you use ethanol free when you park something for a long time, that's why. I mean, I'm just at a loss for words on this one. Been listening to this tire leak all afternoon. I think it's the rim, but with all this dry rot, I think what we'll end up doing, oh my goodness, yeah.
Look too big.
While Josh is putting the battery in for this compression check, we've been listening to at least one of these rear tires leaking air, and the thought had been we'll pick the best tires out of here. We'll probably tube them if they're not holding air. The fronts seem to be okay. We'll tube 2 rears and keep riding them because they've got some dry rot and some leak. But as I look at them, there's a full 4-bolt pattern, and I wonder if this 4-bolt pattern is going to match anything we already have, because I've got all kinds of spare Yamaha wheels. Let's look under the Moto 4s, and this is a Moto 4 200. This is a 3-bolt pattern, so it won't be the 200s, but the 225 is a 4. Look at that. That looks like a wider bolt pattern. It's a 4, but hard to say. I can pull out and measure to know, but I don't have any spare Yamaha 4 bolts, so we'll probably end up picking the best ones and tubing. But for now, let's get a compression test on this other motor here. All right, we're hitting this with 12 amps. Same setup through here, grounded out. Make sure everything's out of the way because this bolt is going to spin. We're all good, so let us see if we turn the key. Again, no light. Switch is in the on position. First question, does it crank? Whoa. I got nice sparky up here. Interesting. Let's try this again. Whoa. So I'm inclined to think we have a short somewhere.
At least it's grounded now.
Yep. Where would our short be? Yeah.
Why would it spark at the frame, the ground?
Well, so when we hit the starter button and we close the circuit, we ultimately short something. So it's not our big wire lugs or anything here. We have to press the button to complete a circuit. What is that other button on the handlebar? Is one question. That do anything when you pressed it? You didn't feel a buzz? All right, so what we wanted to know is the compression on this motor, and if we did it this way, we were also going to get an answer on the electrical system on this one, which is the one, again, the one that was really ridden hard. This electrical system, something funky. Oh, I didn't even get a solenoid click off this. We just got sparks. So here's the mystery. I'm not entirely sure what we've touched other than I unplugged this guy. And other than that, I do not see any indication through this harness of frays where it's been rubbing on the frame. Everything still looks tight. I see, and this guy here is actually vacuum sealed. Looks like there'd be a fuse in here, but there's no way to inspect it. So nothing obvious here. But here we go. Holding the throttle open. Oh, there's no carb on this one again as well. Pulled it off. So let us see off the battery. So hitting as high as the same. 100 PSI, sitting down to 75. We're going to do it again. Here we go. Test number 2. And that sounds like my battery is really weak. So I'm going to put the charger back on. We're going to try this again. So here we go. We're putting juice to the battery again. Here we go. Also, again, no neutral indicator light. I haven't tested this one. And if I hit that start button, let's see if I zap, or what do we get? All right, here we go. 100. And settles back down. Okay. All right, so we're still set up here. We're going to do another test. We're going to get this guy set down on the metal. So we're grounded out, so we should have sparks. So if I hit the button, do we get spark? Great spark. Both of our motors are in the same condition, so we're not going to do a big motor swap or anything. We're going to run with the motor that's in the frame we want to go with, and ultimately if we need to do a head, rings, cylinder, rebore, anything like that, we'll address that as we get through. But considering there isn't an advantage to doing swap-a-roonies here, we're going to move forward with that one. Motor's in the same condition. We know the electrical systems are the same, with the exception that this one, and again, this was the one that was the light blue one, buggered up frame, weird wiring, and just arcing sparks. That's going to be the one we're going after for the runner right now. Okay, so we have two good electrical systems, both motors, same level of compression. So I like that baseline. So let's move one of these to see if we can get first start on 100 psi. A few more things to check, make sure we're getting oil through there, but we'll end up running premix initially, so it's probably going to put some smoke out until we can confirm we have oil coming out the injection pump. And we do have oil injection two-stroke oil here, so not just any two-stroke oil. It's actually from Polaris to put in here. So yeah, we're getting close. Yeah, so this is the third evening we've gone at this. We've been going at these in kind of 2-hour increments. So we've got 6 hours into tearing these down, and where we are now, we know the compression on both motors. We know we have two good electrical systems. I suspect we have two good oil injection pumps. So in the off week, this week, going to get our hands on a few more things. Don't need it for first start, but the gasket between the motor, I was thinking of just trying to fabricate something, but I think we're going to need a good amount of flex here because I think we're going to get a lot of vibration in the motor. When I look at the size of some of these motor mount gaskets, these big rubber mounts here, and there's a gasket behind the plate. We need a new backing plate for the clutch drive system. That's all bent out. We need a front one as well. But big progress today. We know the compression. We know the electrical systems. We know we have spark. So I'm willing to guess we will have it rolling under its own power next time we come around to it. So for now, we're going to park this here. We're going to clean up our mess for a little bit, and we'll give it another go next time.